It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show with Phil Mullinax and J.C. Sherbert.
So, how many of you would say you speak English fairly well, but with some difficulty?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
You play to win the game.
Now, let's take it away, J.C. and Phil.
Inside the Gamecocks. Good morning, everybody. Are you with us, JC?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Phil?
I can hear you just fine, man.
Can you see me?
I can also see you.
I didn't get the intro on my end, so
really?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't hear
intro
it.
Play, everybody. Let us know, Chet.
Let us know if the intro didn't play today. This is Monday morning, the Monday morning misfire here,
right?
On Inside the Gamecocks, the show. J.C. Sherbert here, along with Phil Mullinax. Happy Monday, everyone, and what an eventful weekend.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, another one, right?
Man,
I don't know if I can take any more.
I'm sitting there. Every year we go to the Army-Navy, an Army-Navy watch party, because I've mentioned the guy that owns our little tavern here in town, went to Navy and actually played on the 84 team that beat the Gamecocks. So I get a lot of crap from him a lot, but every Army-Navy game, he brings some Army-Navy gear. I got a sweet Navy hat that's camo that I'm going to put on my set back here as soon as I get it going. It's sitting right over there. But so we're sitting there, and it's like back and forth about this Dowell Loggins thing. And, and then to wake up yesterday morning, and Tony Morrell actually broke the news that it was going to be Dowell Loggins. and that's the news right there. So spent all day yesterday trying to kind of talk about it. And look, I'm going to say this to all of you out there that are unhappy about the hire. I realized something, and I think we all at times have moments of self-reflection, be it, in our careers or lives or whatever. And I started thinking about it. I was like, I could sit here and argue with people and, try to battle and convince and blah, blah, blah. Guys, like I do, those of you that are familiar with me on the Big Spur know, I don't have any problem getting into a massive debate with users. And I think that's part of what makes it fun and entertaining. And that's been kind of my role on the site. I'll get in there and mix it up with anybody and talk with anybody. But kind of something hit me yesterday. I was like, kind of my hobby is politics. I like, I'll consume political journalism. I guess it's called journalism. Everywhere from like the Washington Post to the Atlantic to Breitbart to both ends of the political spectrum, and I'm not going to get into my personal political beliefs, but I like to look at both sides and make my own decisions. And if you're on one side or the other, I think it's always wise to read what the other team's doing, right?
For
so
sure.
you kind of poke holes in their logic or whatever. And one thing I do hate, though, is the media on the political end of things, and especially the last few years, telling us as Americans to just shut up and accept things and not question it. And, obey, behave, shut up and accept it. You don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I started thinking about it, and guys, maybe there's been times through the years, and I'm not saying I'll never do this again, because there's sometimes a rumor will get started and it's just not true. And, I'm always going to be pounding the truth if I know something's true or not true, and it's not. But like, look, I started thinking, I was like, with this Dowell Loggins thing, am I going to sit here and pound these guys and say, and gals, and say, look, you shut up and take it and obey and support. And I kind of said, no, I mean, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about it. It's my job, if he gets the job, to kind of explain what I hear about what kind of offense he'll run, what kind of coach he is, all that good stuff from contacts and everywhere else. But man, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys, shut up and obey and just get in line and blah, 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 blah. And last week I kind of was, I was saying, I was pretty strong worded in saying, don't cause a Twitter meltdown over this. And what I meant by that, don't let it rise to the level of Tennessee and Chiano over an assistant coach hire. And it didn't. I mean, it didn't. There's people that are grumbling, that are saying things critical of the hire, but it didn't. It never got to that point, guys, where it's like killing recruiting and guys decommit and stuff like that. So I want to just say, that from my standpoint, that this is going to be a little bit different approach from yours truly. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that, your opinions are wrong and obey, get in line, blood. Like I said, pour Dowell Loggins down your throat. We can still talk about it, have conversations. There's a lot of other topics out there right now too. And we just you got to hope for the best and move forward. I understand completely that there's not a track record in college to point to with him, and the track record in the NFL wasn't very good. I kind of figured it out. And I want to give credit to a friend of mine on a group chat we're on, somebody on Twitter pointed this out, and I got the tweet today from the group chat. Here's the connection. Sylvester Croom, one of Shane Beamer's mentors, was the running backs coach for the Tennessee Titans, while Dowell Loggins was the OC. So in case you're wondering where the connection came from, there it is. I mean, and if you think about Beamer and Joe Judge and Freddie Kitchens and Jody Wright and, all those folks that were on that staff back at Mississippi State, they all kind of run in the same circle. So that's the deal there. So that's the connection. I see the Nana Sports chat box is already heating up with a lot of Loggins references.
Which we'll still have fun with that, JC. Yeah, we're not gonna not
the danger zone.
Loggins in the danger zone. Yeah, come on, we'll have a good time with this. Yeah,
playing with this place called Playing with the Boys. Take your shirts off. No. Okay.
If he doesn't call some plays after some Kenny Loggins songs, I'm going to be extremely disappointed.
Me too. We need Footloose right.
Yeah, right.
Footloose right. Danger Zone X9501. I hope the plays aren't 13 words long.
You just got to have faith in Beamer that the offense isn't going to be that complex, because he knows that was obviously the issue this year. I think that he learned his lesson. And not that we have anything to go on yet, because there's not a real big body of work in the college ranks with Dowell. But I'm willing to give him a chance.
Yeah, me too. And then the one thing some of you out there will like that as I'm trying to piece this together, right? Based on what I've heard, the one common thing I keep hearing is he does like, philosophically loves a mobile quarterback. So a lot of zone read, quarterback run, that kind of thing. Of course, with Rattler if Rattler comes back, you always kind of good offensive coordinators obviously always scheme to their potential. I think in the short term, it'll probably be kind of the same idea as the last two games of the season. Long term, though, as you get in with some of these, your Luke Doty's of the world end up taking over for Rattler and all that. I mean, from what I understand, there's some quarterback run game that you guys have been clamoring for around here. I think when Carolina struggles on offense, just about everybody's like, yeah, you need a dual threat quarterback, whatever. And this is and you're right. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I kind of think that you need a guy that isn't a statue in the pocket and that can run a little, and Spencer can, but obviously there's some guys that are better runners than others out there, and we'll see what happens with that. And something way more important and serious than all of our Columbia-based issues, prayers and thoughts to Mike Leach and his family. Mike Leach for sure. Is an American institution. Very serious medical issue. Had to be flown to Jackson, Mississippi Hospital. My understanding is they're waiting on his family to get there. This is the last report we got from our Mississippi State site, and then they have some decisions to make. So it's not looking good. I do believe in miracles, though. And so all of you out there that are praying for Mike Leach and his family, please continue to do so. There's power in that. But man, oh man, that was just not good news last night.
Shock too, right out of nowhere. I couldn't believe it.
Shocking, you know. And I'd heard there were some health things there. There were rumors he's going to hang it up after the Egg Bowl.
Wow.
And I mean, but it never came to pass, and you know, and then all of a sudden this happened. So you know, we just sort of, you know, hope for the best when it comes to Coach Leach. And you know, I know Steve Spurrier Jr. a little bit, who's out there on that staff, and thinking about he and his family, and all the coaches at Mississippi State, the Bulldog family. You know, at times like this, it's tough. I mean, sports kind of take a backseat to something like that. So thoughts and prayers to Mike Leach. I do want to address Lenora Sellers' recruitment. There was an article out, I think, that caused another meltdown on the message board. And, you know, sometimes people don't really read the article. They just look at the headline. And I think that's what happened here. That article was out sort of before some other things progressed, and Sellers is still in play. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. We may not know until signing day if Sellers will be a Gamecock or an Orange. Is it an Orange? Is that how you'd say it? An Orange, but it's not over. It's not even. I wouldn't even classify it as a strong lean towards sticking with Syracuse. I would not. Don't put him in the oh well bin. Okay. And I know people yesterday, because that was you know, people were so upset about Dowell Loggins, they just cleaned, you know, trying to connect the dots. And I don't blame, you know, it's all a lot is happening at the same time. And when the OC is at the front of your brain, you tend to want to connect everything, and it's not connected. But you know, that Sellers is still out there and a possibility. So let me just say that first and foremost. Marshawn Lloyd yesterday caused a storm because he took South Carolina running back off of his Twitter profile and tweeted something about doing what's best for him. That has nothing to do with the OC. I know some of you are not going to believe me on that, and that's fine because it's a big coincidence. But this has a lot to do with other. You know, I'm sorry, I just got a text. I had to look at some other things that are going on, and maybe the NFL comes calling. Somebody said
that's what I was going to ask. Do we know if he's a lean towards portal or NFL?
I think it could be either or. You know, based on kind of my understanding of the situation, it could be a little NIL. It could be a little bit about maybe some miscommunication about who Carolina's recruiting from the portal at running back, which, I mean, those things are easily solved. Like, if it's not money or the league, you know, that's a coach-player thing, and they just got to get on the same page. And I feel confident they can. You know, and I you know, look, there's been folks trying to get Marshawn Lloyd to leave South Carolina and go back to wherever, Maryland or wherever, since he got to South Carolina. And this isn't like Mike Loxley tampering or anything. This is just, you know, I think there's some folks around up there that would like to see him back. And, you know, it's a free country, and you can mention that all you want as long as you're not representing the other school. And so I don't know. I don't know what will happen with him. The lean early yesterday, it went from like, oh, it doesn't look good. If my gut feeling says he may not be back, to I don't know what the deal is and what the problem is with what's going on. And, you know, we have to well, maybe we can solve this. I mean, you know, it's one of those things that it's probably not good to kind of follow it hour by hour because things go up and down. I know everybody wants hour by hour, but that was probably my mistake yesterday, is like, you know, following a situation that, and I don't think I reported too much on it, but I just know it's independent of the Dowell Loggins news. You know, Lloyd, my understanding was Lloyd Bell, all those guys, you know, when they kind of vetted offensive coordinators or whatever, you know, the style of offense, they were like, yeah, you know, that's good. So that's the deal there. Hopefully Marshawn comes back. I do think if Marshawn Lloyd is projected, somebody said Kuiper had him going in the second round. I haven't seen that, so I don't know. I think if he's anywhere from second to fourth round pick, he probably needs to go.
Yeah,
because
probably so.
Running backs have a shelf life, right? And they don't have, high value in a lot of ways in the NFL. If you notice that it takes a Todd Gurley or somebody, or Leonard Fournette, somebody like that, to be drafted in the top 10 these days at running back, just a special guy. Because they chew them up and spit them out. You get slower, then all of a sudden the guy that's been on the practice squad for 2 years is faster than you are, and he costs less money, so you got to go. That's just kind of the I always say strike while the iron's hot. That's why I didn't have any problem with Zaquandre White and Kevin Harris leaving last year, running back. But that's the deal there. So if Marshawn can get drafted that high, I think he needs to go. I think this is a situation that'll probably be solved one way or the other pretty quickly. I just can't imagine that, the relationship he has with the coaching staff and has had for a long time could deteriorate based on recruiting rumors that are out there, right? So I think they can get that squared away. But I'll say this at the same time: if he wants to leave, there's nothing you can do about it. Move on. You still got Rattler and Juice and those guys teed up, waiting in the wings if they come back. And I think with those two, it largely just depends. I think they're going to come back unless their draft grade is just so high that it'd be dumb for them not to go. You know what I'm saying? Like first, second round pick. And I don't know that that'll happen with either one of them. All right, short break. Back on the other side. Don't forget Keith Allsep coming up at the top of the hour. Also, I'll get in the Nana Sports chat box right after these messages.
Golfers and wannabe golfers, former Gamecock golfer Meredith Taylor is now a full-time golf instructor in the Midlands of South Carolina. In-person golf lessons are held at the Country Club of Lexington. Half-hour, hour, on course 9 or 18 holes. And if you're outside of South Carolina, Meredith conducts virtual lessons. Just send in your golf swing for analysis. Gift cards are available for in-person 1-hour lessons. Connect on Twitter at Mayor Taylor and find her online at McKellarEnterprises.org. Her email is on the website. Schedule your next lesson today with Meredith Taylor, former Gamecock golfer.
Gamecock Nation, do you need a place to stay for the big game? Many hotel booking engines keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you support inside the Gamecocks, still earn your hotel loyalty points, and you receive an email with direct confirmation from the hotel. Whether you are visiting Columbia to cheer on Carolina or hitting the road to follow the team, get in the stands with Fan Plans.
This is Coach O. Now back to the show. Go Tigers. In the song.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with J.C. Sherbert and Phil Mullinax. First hour of the show is brought to you by Cindy Searfoss and the Coldwell Banker Realty team here in the Upstate. Give Cindy a call for all your Upstate residential real estate needs, 864-414-5271. And, of course, don't forget the show is presented to you by Express Sunrooms of Columbia. Give John Barber a call for your outdoor retreat plans. They'll drop in, give you a free estimate, and talk to you about your needs. 803-446-4662. And JC, it looks like Zach Pickens has decided he's going to go on to the NFL. Not very shocking at all. Had a great year this year. Definitely going to do some things on Sunday.
Yeah,
Zach,
skipping the bowl. That's a blow because Notre Dame's so good on the offensive line, and you need all the guys you can get. But Tonka Hemingway, Boogie Huntley, come on down. TJ Sanders, come on down. MJ Webb's still there. You got Nick Barrett. I think Carolina's got players, but you just don't replace Zach Pickens, right?
Right.
But Carolina's got players, and Zach's worked very hard and got a chance to really do some great things, I think, in the NFL. I put a poll question up on the YouTube page. How many deviled eggs can you eat in one sitting?
Oh.
And so the choices were 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7+, or I don't eat deviled eggs. 23%, 27%, 28%, 23%.
I'm definitely in the C category. I can eat them.
Man, one time I was eating I was in college. Gosh, I think it was 2000. It was the game. It was the Eric Kimry throw game. The fade game against Mississippi State. I stopped by this tailgate for these people I don't know, and I started eating their deviled eggs. And this woman literally like gets up after I got like 3 of them because they were good, and it got 3 of them. It closes the lid and puts it back in her picnic basket in her truck. So I couldn't eat anymore. I've never seen anything like it. So that made me think about it. I was like, man, that was crazy.
That's not very hospitable.
No, it's not. Don't invite me over.
You bring them to eat? Come on.
Yeah, come on. You ain't going to take it home and get that crust all over it. It's going to be in your fridge for 2 weeks anyway, and you got to throw it away. Anyway, Nanasport, speaking of deviled eggs,
yeah,
the award-winning Nanasports chat box. Daddy Ev goes, slow sports week again. Yeah. Too bad there's nothing to talk about today. Taylor does say, prayers, first of all, for Mike Leach. Secondly, I trust Shane completely. And if this is the guy he wants to hire, then I'm on board. Just my opinion, though. And I hope people come around on that at some point. Like I said, I'm not – I think if you're me and you just try to pound this guy into your head right now, it's going to take time to kind of get, adjusted, accepting of the acceptance phase, right? If I pound this guy into your head, it's I don't know. I just think it's not, it's not cool on my end to just blindly do that, because it's almost like I'm insulting people's intelligence.
I mean, everybody's entitled to how they feel about this.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously there's question marks going into it, and
and there's nothing I can point to to say, aha,
yeah, see where you're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can point to. I mean, I've always, and I'll stick by my theories, my philosophies on things. And my philosophy, first and foremost, is what you do in the NFL doesn't matter. It's what you do in college. I've seen it. I mean, great NFL coaches come to college and struggle, and then great college coaches struggle in the league. I always say same sport, different game. Mm-hmm. So I'll stick with that. So I don't know that because Dowell Loggins had really awful offense. I mean, he was the coordinator for the Bears, for God's sake.
Yeah. Some terrible offenses for sure.
you don't know offensive misery until you've lived through the Bears. Trust me, guys. Trust me. You guys think the Gamecocks have had some bad offenses? Ooh. In general, anyway. Hey, we're all gonna have a laugh one day when Marcus Satterfield is named the offensive coordinator for the Bears. You wait, it's coming. I have this feeling it's coming.
One of these.
Wouldn't it be funny if some NFL coach ended up like with Will Muschamp as his DC and Marcus Satterfield as his OC?
Oh my gosh.
Someday down the road, I could see it. I could see something like that happen.
I don't know. With Muschamp, though, I mean, that's his calling. Like, he just can't be a head coach.
Yeah, and I'll say this with Will too. I think he'd be a great head coach in the NFL.
Maybe so.
Where it's not, you don't have to have your hands in everything. You just go coach, because you have a GM and if you work with. But see, then you may get a bad GM, and knowing his luck, he would get the worst GM in the league, and he just wouldn't have any players.
I'm a Washington fan. I understand all about bad admin.
Dysfunctional. Yeah, they're dysfunctional in a different way. But anyway, so, I mean, there's nothing to point to with Dowell Loggins. So I can't sit there and say, well, gosh, just look at this. It's a blind faith. What's that song? Who sung Blind Faith? Foreigner? Somebody? I don't know. Blind faith in you. I got blind faith in you. It's a hair band, not Foreigner. It wasn't Foreigner. Anyway, somebody tell me who sung the song Blind Faith in the 80s. Josh says, prayers up for the Pirate. Kreger, Danger Zone is back, baby. Yes, the Danger Zone offense.
The Danger Zone offense.
Brian asked about Marshawn Lloyd. I addressed that in the opener. Rodney says, JC, if the coach for Arkansas gets hired for an offensive position, what's his identity? Because we struggled for 2 years without one. Yeah. Like I said, I think in the interim, like probably, and it all kind of depends on personnel, and I know that's not what you guys want to hear. Because I know that it's like the dreaded word multiple has been brought up. Nobody wants to hear multiple in it because everything else has been multiple. But honest to God, guys, most offenses are multiple. I mean, most defenses are multiple these days. So that's not, but I know you don't want to hear it. I think they're going to run game. I'm trying to kind of nail down. My understanding is pass game wise, it's probably going to be a lot like the last two games. I do know about the running quarterback element that he likes. So that's just about it. Now, hopefully, I think a good thing would be if they got in the press conference or whenever he's announced, and he kind of explained some of that. I understand that you don't want to go out there and give away your whole game plan for North Carolina next year or whatever you're calling it in the presser, but just some general concepts would be good, so people kind of, for those that like to get into that kind of thing, they can munch on it. But and the other thing I definitely know is it's not going to be like Satterfield, and the Satterfield system was probably the game planning approach, how he taught it. It wasn't really at the end of the day play calling after they shrunk everything down. Oh, Warrant, blind faith. Jan hits me up. Warrant, how did I not? That was after Dirty Rodden's Filthy Stinking Rich, wasn't it? I don't know. I got a picture of your house and you're standing by the door. I like that one. That's heaven though, not blind faith. Anyway, so I do know that all the I guess the approach problems with the offense, the confusion, the couldn't teach it, the disorganization, that's gone. And that won't be the case, hopefully, with this guy. And I do think, my understanding is, but he's met with this staff before and kind of self-scouted or told him what he thought. And my understanding is that conversation kind of left some people going, well, why isn't he the offensive coordinator? Why do we have why do we have this? So, so we'll see what happens with that. And, I always say, give it a shot. There's a lot of good going on with the program. I know there's a lot to get nervous about with the portal and guys going pro, but there's a game coming up. And I think South Carolina still is in good position to go down there and compete with Notre Dame and win the game. Because they've got some guys out. And, recruiting is going swimmingly. I think Carolina could end up with finish inside the top 15. I will say this. Some folks are wondering about the transfer portal as far as Carolina getting guys. I'd give that some time because, we're all kind of the mindset because signing days in 9 days – that it all needs to be done. Give it some time because I was told there are guys after their bowl games and stuff that will get in the portal and all that. I expect it to kind of portal recruiting this year to bleed into January. Of course, Nick Harbor's probably going to bleed into January as well. So recruiting to watch right there. Krager said, I'm not complaining anymore. It is what it is. Hope it works out great. Daddy O asked about Pirate. Yeah, the last news at the top of the show about Mike Leach. Family's on the way, decisions to be made, which is not good.
Yeah, not looking good.
Todd says, what are your thoughts? How is it Deion Sanders can hire a whole elite staff in 1 week, but Beamer still doesn't have our OC? I don't know, Todd. Apples to oranges, though. Different people work at different paces.
And he's the new shiny, toy.
Yeah.
Right? mean, that's like, oh, yeah, look at that. Everybody's kind of attracted to that. But
yeah. Hunter says, do you think Lloyd is gone because of the OC hire? No. That can be ruled out, because number one, what I was told was they were all fine with it. And then number two, I don't even think, the news kind of broke on the big spur behind the paywall. And people were talking about it on Twitter. I don't think Lloyd, I don't think it had anything to do with it. I don't think it had anything to do with it. Krager says we need the Bama lineman Cohen. I can also confirm they are not recruiting him. He, let's just say he probably wouldn't fit the culture and leave it at that. Adam says, what's up, my dudes? Anything to discuss today? Of course. T-Far, crack open a cold Loggins today.
That's right. Can't wait to pour me a nice Dow Luggins at the end of the long day.
After I pick me taters in the field, and me and my boy Phil, we go to the tavern, and we both have a big stout Dow Luggins. That's good. Right.
We grab us a meat pie, and we pound a pint of Dow Luggins.
Oh, Krager says Pup Howard's on the early game with WG. Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, he's coming to bowl practice, right? Is he?
There's a lot of guys
participating. Can he do that? I didn't realize that when I read that.
You used to be able to do that, but then I think they changed the rules and you can't now. But I know there's some big time guys that are committed that are visiting this weekend. Desmond and Big Tree from the DC area, I think, are coming down and all that. So yeah, the Saturday bowl practice is significant for recruiting, and you got official visitors and all that good stuff. Carolina says, Empire says, I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down, JC. Woo! All right, so there's a conspiracy theory on the Big Spur, right? Bird Bob 47, who we all know from the chat box. So there's been a guy went rolling through his posting history, and he's convinced himself that is Shane Beamer. Okay?
Virgo B is Shane Beamer?
Bird Bob 47. Now look, I'll tell you, I know exactly who it is, okay? Because I know this person off the site, right? And it's not Shane Beamer.
It's Hunter Beamer.
It's not Hunter Beamer either. Shane probably doesn't have time to access 147 Ric Flair gifts. Like, I mean, the Ric Flair gift game by Berg Bob 47 is strong. I mean, he's got, and Berg Bob's got some enthusiasm like Shane and all that. But I just, without getting too far into it, he is not Shane Beamer. I can confirm that 100%. He is just not. I don't even know. I mean, unless Beamer has a login for when he was an assistant back in the day, I don't even know that. Most of the coaches do have logins for the various websites, but it's more staff than a head coach. So I don't even know that he's on there. Daddy O says logins and ginger ale, best of the Highlands. I love that, Daddy O.
That's great.
Yeah. Jafaller says, morning, gents and ladies. Is this game turning into a scrimmage now? LOL, go Cox. Yeah, there's some opt-outs on both sides.
Yeah, this is going to be your sneak peek into the spring.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Hey, but at least it's happening on both sides. They lost, some good players. We're not having some good players. It'll still be a great game. Everybody should still show up and show out.
Yeah, well, I think they are. The ticket situation's lean, to say the least, if you haven't gotten tickets yet. So Rick said they got the intro. Tyler's like, dropping a Loggins is going to be a mainstay for sure.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope we don't have to start referring to it in the negative aspect.
Yeah, Jafar says no Pickens. Yeah, no Pickens. The offense puts up points. The danger zone offense. Cynical says, I feel for you, JC, having to deal with all the lunatics melting down. Yeah, different people handle bad news different ways. You'd probably be surprised that, like, the people that melt down the hardest, the ones that you just want to go, my God. So that's the thing there.
Take a Xanax.
Take a Xanax. So if you meet those people off the message board in real life, they're nice. They're very nice. I'm sorry, I just got distracted by a text. Okay, so guys, you're going to read about Devin Leary, the NC State quarterback in South Carolina, to contacting him. And that's been out there. He's been on the list and all that good stuff. That's not happening unless Rattler does get a high draft grade and goes pro. And I don't know. And then you're going to ask me about Luke Doty. I don't know. I just know that Devin Leary from NC State could be a guy that they look at and push for if for some reason Rattler does go pro. That's the if. All right, so I want to clear that up here too. So we got some clarification on some things today on the show about quarterbacks, like Lenore Sellers still in play, Devin Leary backup plan if Rattler goes pro, Marshawn Lloyd not gone yet. I'm not dead yet.
I'm not quite dead yet.
I maybe shouldn't have said that given the Leach situation. I may be cringy right there.
I did just read something where it is confirmed it was a very massive heart attack is what has brought us here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Corn Pop is in the portal. He's watching intently on who we hire. 76 says, 2 things are true for me right now. First, regardless, I will love and support the Gamecocks. Yes,
that's the right attitude.
Hey, the Gamecocks are going to be here long after every coach, player, whatever. It's always they're going to. We're all still going to be here, right? God willing.
That's right.
Second, I dislike the hire, and it'll be a long year. Yeah, it's going to be a long off season. I almost wish Beamer would let Loggins call the bowl. And that's a double-edged sword because if he messes up and the offense looks like crap, we're in for like months of misery, Phil.
Yeah, but look at all the attrition. It's like it's the perfect setup for him, though. It was like, well, look, we didn't have this guy. This guy wasn't here. That guy didn't play. You still got some excuses. Not that any of us want to hear that crap. But the whole I was thinking about it earlier today, JC, like with Dowell Loggins, and I'm like, if he were on the staff already and Beamer decided to promote from within, would there be as much of a stink?
Probably not.
Because it does appear like Arkansas is not really excited to be losing him.
Yeah,
the fans or the players.
Some of their fans, yeah. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Some of their fans are like tough loss. Some of their fans are like good. He can go get it.
Take Charles with you or whatever.
Yeah, Coach Carolina with the training wheels, and then we'll get him back after that. Because he is a hog.
Yeah,
through and through. But and I don't know. That's their fan. I mean, and like I've said, I finally, one of our members of our site allegedly talked to an NFL assistant that said Loggins wasn't all that good. But that's the only inkling of a whisper from folks in the coaching community that said anything bad about the guy. But hey, and from a football standpoint too, not just he's a nice guy. Yeah. So we'll see about that. I'm just passing that along, like I said. JC RB said, all right. So this thing from Hunter, what is this? This yee hoo hola yeah touchdown yeah, is that a Kenny Loggins thing? From Hunter Johnson, right there, 10:07 in the chat box. I need your help with this, Phil, because I don't.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, holy, yeah, touchdown, yeah. That's Kenny? I don't know.
I don't know if that's a Kenny Loggins reference or
it's hilarious.
Yeah, because now I'm imagining it in Tommy's voice. I mean, which makes it even better. I think it's just excited Tommy Suggs.
Yeah, touchdown, oh yeah. Darby says, JC, I'm curious, are there not powers that be that are concerned about his background and lack of success? I realize we're nobodies, but assume there are important people whose opinions matters. Now, I don't think you're nobodies. I mean, you matter. Everybody matters.
That's right.
We're all in this together,
and South Carolina is relevant to the conversation in the SEC. I mean, yeah. we just are.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last 2 games should have shown that. So powers that be, administrators, board of trustees, people. My understanding is the board of trustees, these guys, most of them are big fans and supporters. And I think that when you're a coach at South Carolina and you beat Clemson, especially if you knock Clemson out of the playoff, which has to be sweet for a lot of people, and snap and then all that, you win that game at the end of the year, they'll give anything you want. I mean, there's not it's high times for the board of trustees right now because they beat Clemson. As far as Ray and Chance and the athletics administration, their job's to support their coaches and to evaluate their coaches and say, well, if you hire, you hired this to do it. They do it in hindsight, right? you have to be careful if you're an athletic director and you get in there and micromanage your coaches. So, I mean, do I think these guys are, looking at the resume going, yeehaw? No, but I think they're not going to meddle. Their job's to support, and the same thing with Will Muschamp, when he was there. And then it's your job to pull the plug if it doesn't work. That's kind of how it goes. So I don't know that there's concern. I don't know that there's jubilation. I think they're like everybody else, wait and see. M.A. Dare says, I gave Will Muschamp 4 years to prove himself, so I plan to give Shane a chance to prove himself. I'm riding with him on the hire. Hashtag danger zone.
Hashtag danger zone. Yeah.
Stingray, we did talk about Marshawn. Joey says, I haven't seen any news that Jody Wright has been out recruiting. Is something going on with him? Nah, he's been on the recruiting schedule. I've been looking at that. Tyler Simpson says, take your shirts off. Great JC out of context moment. Take your shirts off. Quantrell says, as long as the offense is not complicated and complex, I can cope with the hire, but I'm not confident until I see the game. That's fair. And then I doubt it's going to become, I just don't see them going back down that road again. That's like burning yourself with hot wax and then like coming back and going, you know what I do? I think I'm going to get a bunch of candles again. And, you burn yourself with hot wax because you're sitting in the tub without water, reading a book or doing something. And then, not that this is normal. Y'all bear with me here. And so you knock down, you've had a few drinks, so you knock down the candle, the wax, and then you burn the crap out of yourself. This would be like coming back the next day and going, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to get a bunch of candles. And I'm gonna get drunk, and I'm gonna sit in the tub without water, and I think that'll work. I wouldn't do it. You can't do it that way, man. Yeah, so it's like
the S&M approach to offensive coordinator hires.
Yeah, it's just like I want to punch myself in the face over and over and over again. No, especially after you look at it and go, the J.C. Sherberts of the world and everybody else have been saying it's too complicated the whole time. And then, you strip it down and you look like the greatest show on turf. Seriously.
Right. I know. It was nuts.
If you'd have told me Carolina was going to throw a pick six and throw a pick in the end zone against Clemson, I'd have been like, Clemson's going to blow them out of the water.
Yeah, we're looking at 30-0 again.
Yeah. They overcame it, because you had one game where they could not be stopped. And then you had another game where things didn't go perfect, yet they overcame. Mm-hmm. It blew the, before that, if the offense wasn't, before the last two games, if the offense wasn't running at will, they weren't moving the ball. Well, they didn't run it 54 yards. They scratched out against Clemson. Still won the game and put up over 400 yards of offense. And that's what I've been saying. Sometimes you gotta do that because it's unrealistic that you're going to be able to run it all the time. So anyway, okay, we got
let's hit a break.
Hit a break. Yeah. Final break of the first hour, and then we'll have another break, and then Keith will join us right here on a Monday episode of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Hey man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
You know what, Phil? Let's ask Stone Blanton.
Hey, JC and Phil, if you want a solution to your IT problems, give Heritage Digital a call. Our boy Matt Odom has a low-cost, one-price solution that will get you running right. Call 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com and ask for Matt. He will hook you up today and tell them Stone sent you.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it. Let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help?
I used to be president of the United States, and I love the show with Phil and JC.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. We really appreciate that. Inside
Thanks,
the
Bill.
Gamecocks, thanks, Bill. Back at you. Brought to you by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John Barber a call or catch him on our show weekly here because he is going to be a frequent guest.
Bigger news.
803-446-4662 right out of Columbia to talk about your next sunroom or man, he was doing some interesting stuff like they, close in porches and things like that. That way you don't get all dusty and whatnot. Anyway, outdoor retreat is what we're kind of focusing in on there with Express Sunrooms. And of course, the first hour, Cindy Searfoss, Coldwell Banker Kane. We appreciate everybody who is patrons of our sponsors. You can give Cindy a call here in the Upstate for your Upstate residential real estate needs, 864-414-5271. And just to keep in keeping with the theme of today, JC, Mississippi State has issued an official announcement. I'll read you first couple sentences. Mississippi State University head football coach Mike Leach remains in critical condition at the University of Mississippi Medical Center in Jackson. His family is with him, appreciates the overwhelming expressions of love and support, and requests that their family's privacy be respected at this time.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
Not sounding good. Yep.
I just there's a tweet here. Okay, yeah, from Feldman about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're good. Praying for Mike Leach, all that good stuff. Certainly, yeah, want him to be okay, but it's just.
I would hope that the league does something for him, like the teams do something during their bowls if something is. Coach Leach got forbid.
Everybody, a pirate skull and crossbones.
Yeah, throw up the skull. Yeah, put your Jolly Roger up.
Jolly Roger. Jim makes a good point. Do we want the powers that be derailing what the coach wants? We laugh at Auburn when they do that. Yeah. And by the way, I skipped a bunch of chat box stuff. So if there's a question that I missed, as normal, put it back up here, and I'll try to get to it as best I can. We kind of got behind with the chat, but you guys are very active today. So Brian and Stingray all ask about, is this Loggins confirmed? Yeah. If it doesn't happen, then there's a curveball being thrown. And, I reported it Wednesday. I'm convinced now that I may have been bamboozled a bit when I was told, no, it's not happening. So that sucked, but that happens. I think some certain folks in certain circles on both sides were kind of trying to help Loggins recruit. And it wasn't supposed to get out Wednesday, right? But anyway, I guess it did, so then you got, no, it's not. Yes. And then Sunday
damage control. Right.
There's the roller coaster. And that's my fault. I should have just said it's Loggins till it's not anymore, and not bought the maybe nots and all that good stuff. But it wasn't done, and there was no offer at the time. So, but I think now I'd expect him to be announced today or tomorrow. So, maybe, who knows, though? It's been a crazy offseason.
It's not over till it's over.
Stan Bush and Kenny Loggins is the best 80s music, especially the Transformer soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about Transformers, the movie? Like the cartoon?
Got to be the cartoon, right?
Yeah, the cartoon movie, not the new one.
Those were great.
Dude, my friend Skipper won't talk about that because Optimus Prime died,
Yes, right.
He won't talk. He won't talk about it at all. And I don't blame him. I don't like talking about that either. LG Brownlee says they could change the entrance music from 2001 to Footloose.
Footloose.
And if I Footloose. I swear to God, this is going to happen, folks, because of all this hell we've all been through, like with the meltdowns and stuff. and everybody's like ho-hum about the hire and all these bad coordinators that have come through and all that. This will be the one that hits because this is the one with the most visceral reaction, and that's just how it goes with this team and this school and this fan base and this market. The one everybody, including we all kind of overreact negatively to. We're all going to be sitting here this time next year going, God, why are flights to California so expensive? Because Carolina's going to be in the Rose Bowl in the daggum semis, undefeated. And everybody's going to have on Dowell Loggins shirts and Pour Me a Loggins. And we're talking about the danger. Yeah. We're talking about the danger zone, and everybody's into it. And yeah, woo, woo, woo. And then Kendall Browse is going to get Texas Tech, and Loggins is going to leave and go to Arkansas before the semifinals. And we're all going to be sitting there going, no. I'm just kidding.
I think that's I think you hit on one of the lost points on this whole offensive coordinator search, though, JC, is that some of these big names that we were talking about could be potential, coordinator hires. Really are up for head coaching jobs. Yeah, I mean, legitimately, and they're going to hold out for those. Why would they not?
Of course they would, and I think too, Phil, the more I dig into it, the more the info I have coming back is this was not a very broad search. I mean, I don't know that he got turned down by anybody because I don't know if he offered anybody else. Maybe not. I mean, Brian Johnson from the Eagles is the only other name that I feel comfortable. I would feel pretty comfortable putting him on a list. But the Mullen thing was a conversation that took place about another matter, like the media, and that got out of control because Mullen was in the building, but it was totally wasn't to be that, I guess. And then there's always been names floated around by agents and other sources and people like that. But Dowell Loggins was the name. I heard this name in September. Okay.
Right.
And I didn't even look at the resume. I was like, well, dude from Arkansas, probably Kendall Browse guy, whatever, great, sign him up, I don't care. Well, then as we got on further down the road and I heard his name again and again and again, I actually looked at the resume and I was like, oh my. I was like, this is the one resume the fans are going to flip.
Well, there's no defending it. I mean, other than, it's the NFL.
There's nothing to cling to there or nothing. I mean, because there's no track record. I said, don't worry about a name, worry about production. Well, where's the production? I mean, and I think this too, Phil. I think it's unfair to throw doo-doo on any hire before you see any results.
Right.
Some guys you just know, though. I mean, some guys do have that track record. Like when Frank Beamer hired Scott Loeffler at Virginia Tech to run his offense, I thought that was not good because I remember what Loeffler did at Auburn and other stops, right, and Florida, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know that about this guy because the cringy offenses have been in the pros, and that's a different game. So I think it's more of a huge risk, a gigantic gamble, and a great mystery than a bad hire. Right. But I'll say this: when you gamble huge and you go with the mystery man, and you freak everybody out and all that, it can turn into a bad hire quickly if things do not go well. There's no breathing room. I mean, there's no grace period when you do this. Which hit the ground running. I mean, you got a bowl game, but you also got a game against North Carolina to open next season. So we'll all know. AJM2 says, if Spencer doesn't return, what would be our plan at quarterback? Doty or an underclassman? Or we go get someone from the portal like Leary or DJ? I think you can rule DJ out.
I'm pretty sure we can rule out DJ. Yeah. I think Leary seems like he is plan B out there sitting there. I mean, from everything I'm kind of feeling and reading here.
Could be, I think that's that would be the guy they would like to get. Eric says you should have given Sat one more year. Nah, I don't care if HR puffing stuff and those guys are calling it. Clint says, has there ever been a multiple-time bad NFL OC who came to college as a first-time college OC and lit it up? You misspelled Stone's last name in the ad you guys run. We know.
Yeah.
I have to
We're going to fix it on our off week. We're going to have some changes to the layouts and stuff. Yeah.
Changes, no. It's unprecedented. Some people will point to Brian Daboll at Alabama, but it's a little bit different situation there too. But I don't know that they can't. I mean, there's a lot of – it's just such a – Dowell Loggins' career is kind of a different trajectory than a lot of folks. I mean, this is a guy that's been in the NFL working in professional football for 20 years. And has moved right up the ladder to and have multiple coordinator jobs and all that. Most of the time, even Belichick had a college job at one point, and Parcells coached at Vanderbilt. So to kind of go through 20 years, and then I think my opinion, what I've been told, is he's like one of these guys that's decided I need to reinvent, myself, and I didn't go coach in college. And I look and I see that he took an analyst position under James Franklin and Mike Yurchis at Penn State. And then this tight ends job at his alma mater came open. And the encouraging thing is most guys that are in the NFL for 20 years coaching, they get back to college and they have this thing they have to do called recruiting. What's that?
Yeah.
And Dowell Loggins has embraced that part to his credit. So, the thing we don't know about is the X's and O's, the system, the scheme, and all that. But like I said, it's a different. Maybe the danger zone offense lights it on fire. I mean, I don't know. You call plays in one league. It's different. It's different in the league than in college. So we'll see. Jim says something about smelling like deviled eggs. What are you guys talking about? Isn't Bill Clinton a big Arkansas fan? Maybe this is all a JC conspiracy. That's right. Dowell Loggins is my homeboy. Dowell Loggins drank a Dowell Loggins together. Great. Hillary, go Hogs. Woo pig suey. I'll tell you this, Kendall Browse. Clinton's probably on the message board.
Yeah, right.
I take Dowell Loggins. South Carolina should hire Kendall Browse. Take Browse with you.
Yeah, if there's an anonymous Dowell Loggins stan in the message boards, that's who it is.
It's Bill Clinton. Former President Clinton. I can tell you this right now: Dowell Loggins can call ball plays, and he and I go. I don't think the Loggins nicknames will take over for the nickname Whammy for Lorenzo. Shout out to Keith for introducing that. Yeah, Whammy. Jim says Beamer's hires have generally worked out. OC was tough because Bobo kind of screwed him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Satterfield was sort of an emergency, kind of, sort of. I think Marcus Satterfield in that search was Dowell Loggins in this one. How about that? And they're both getting it. Like the guy from out of left field. Adam says Pete Carroll was also Southern Cal's 6th choice. Point is, you never know until you know. Yeah, Southern Cal got turned down by some bad coaches before they settled on Pete Carroll. I'll hire this guy, And Pete, think about this too. Pete was a horrible NFL head coach. This is a head coach, not an offensive coordinator. And then he goes to Southern Cal and lights it up. And then
recruiting violations notwithstanding.
No, when I was here, well, they didn't have NIL back then, man. Could you imagine? Right. Jeez, if they had NIL back when Pete was there, killing it. And then Pete goes back to the NFL and one of the better coaches in the league. Goes Super Bowl, So I don't know. Sometimes people reinvent themselves, right? James says, can Dowell Loggins recruit? Yes, he can do that. Definitely. Lance says, just a lot of maybes, hope and a prayer. That's right, buddy.
Yeah.
That's right. Maybe said, I need JC to say, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never lied, not once. I have to get back to work for the American people. I got to get back to work for the American people. All right, we got to get a break. We got Keith Allsep coming in.
Yep, Keith, ready to go.
Had a nice conversation with him last night. He kind of set the table, said he's got some things to say. So we'll be back after these messages.
Just as your State Farm agent combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates, you can combine your home, auto, life, or small business insurance with Tony Pope State Farm Insurance today. And guess what you'll get? That's right, even more good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. In fact, Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. Once again, Tony Pope State Farm will help you mix and match perfectly. Call 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Whoop, easy. He's got a tiger by the tail, he has.
He better hang on too.
People have spoken. Nana's Porch was voted the third best food truck or trailer by the Charlotte newspaper Public Poll. Also, their pimento cheese took third in a contest exclusively for products made in the state of North Carolina. I will let Noah Hall tell you about the rest. Nana's Porch, Southern cuisine with an uptown twist. If you're in the upstate of South Carolina and are in need of residential real estate services, Cindy Bass Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane is for you. Ask her about the village at Creekside, all of her listings in my hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, right there on Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a lifelong Gamecock fan. And many of our listeners have already bought homes from her and been 100% satisfied with the detail and care she uses. Cindy Searfoss, 864-414-5271, Caldwell Banker Kane in the upstate for your real estate needs.
This is Braylon Wimmer, South Carolina Gamecock Baseball, and you are listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil. Go Cox!
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. The show is sponsored by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John Barber a call to talk about your next sunroom edition. 803-446-4662. The second hour of the show is brought to you by the Burgesson team at Remax at the Lake. Give Adam or Derek a call or shoot him an email at aburgesson, that's ABERGESON, at remax.net. And we're joined now on the McKellar Enterprises guest line by Keith Allsep, host of the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. Check him out on Patreon. Got some good deals. You can become, what is a VIP member, Keith? And you get the town hall and all of that, all the bonus footage.
Yeah, so in addition to the daily podcast every day, Monday through Friday, normally it's Tuesday night. This week it's going to be Wednesday night because tomorrow I'm going under the knife for a little arthroscopic knee surgery. So we're going to do it on Wednesday, and then during high school baseball season, because my chapter needs me on Tuesday, we do it on Wednesday. But that's an hour live Zoom call that's interactive. Okay, that we have like 80, 90, 100 people live on the Zoom call. They get to ask questions, make comments, rant and rave and raise hell, which I have a feeling there could be a lot of that this Wednesday.
All signs point to.
I have a good feeling about that.
Yes, I have a good feeling about that. And so nobody else does anything like it. It's really cool. It's one of the best parts of my week, and I have a great life. And so a lot of these guys have become like family. And so I may even be on the sidelines with a few of them at the Gator Bowl.
Nice.
And so it's really a great deal. If you sign up today, you get over 2.5 months off of the annual VIP, and your credit card won't be charged until January of 2024. Yeah. So there you go.
Sweet. I do want to say something that I said before. Austin pointed it out to me here in the chat box. I said Pete Carroll was a horrible pro coach before he took Southern Cal. That was probably not the right word to use, and I apologize because I hate hyperbole and I try not to use it. But he was okay. 6-10 one year with the Jets and got fired, but then won the AFC East and then went to the playoffs the next year, the wild card at 9-7. Then was 8-8 and then got canned in 1999. So I would 27-21. That's not tearing it up, but that's not awful. And so I wanted to kind of just I'll say he was not an accomplished NFL coach when he took the job there. But I apologize for that, Austin and listeners. I just that's the thing right there. So my bad about that. So Keith, Dowell Loggins. That's the first topic we got to get to today. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's an unnecessary risk, JC. To me, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Look, I mean, there are several things that you can point to about Dowell Loggins or Logans that, are positive. The guy spent 17 consecutive years in the National Football League. Generally, you don't stay at the top level unless you're good at your job, unless you're well liked, unless you can coach at the highest level. And I mean, look, the reality of it is the NFL has 32 franchises, but only about 14 of them are relevant most of the time. And he had the misfortune outside of his first stint with the Tennessee Titans of being with three of the probably 4 or 5 worst franchises in the National Football League and working for a complete fraud in Adam Gase and having the title of the worst play caller in the National Football League attached to his name. And so to go back to the original point of why this is an unnecessary risk, okay, Shane Beamer took a chance the first time he hired Marcus Satterfield. After Mike Bobo left, Marcus Satterfield had never called plays at the Power 5 level. The most successful year he had was 1 year at Temple. He had a checkered past, including being fired, including having, accusations and HR investigation, et cetera, leveled on him. Shane Beamer took a chance on him, and we saw, JC, he could not land the plane. Then all of a sudden, after the Florida game, let's face it, he was out. He knew it. He was told under no uncertain terms, this many personnel groupings, no more than this many plays, and everybody is going to be involved. And we saw what it could have been like, but it wasn't like that. And that actually makes it even worse. Quite frankly, that's on Shane Beamer. Because as the head coach, 2 or 3 games into this experiment, why didn't you do that? Well, it's because you've never been a head coach before. And that's part of what you live with. And let's face it, we like a lot of things that Shane Beamer has done. But this time, you didn't have to take a chance because you just beat back-to-back top 10 opponents. You won 8 games. You're going to the Gator Bowl. You've got unlimited resources. You've got the allure of the SEC, and you are a program, perception-wise, that is trending upward. You're like a blue chip stock that is trending upward. And so I'm not saying Dowell Loggins is not going to work out, but what I'm saying is this was an unnecessary risk because I believe Shane Beamer had the means and the opportunity and the resources to go out and hire a guy with a proven track record of developing quarterbacks, of running really quality college offense that would have had the fan base run around like their hair was on fire waiting to see this guy do his thing. And that is not going to be the case with Dowell Loggins. Now, I do think he'll win the press conference. He is a culture fit. He is a really good dude. And he has coached quarterbacks most of his career in the National Football League. And like I said, you don't stick around up there that long unless you are really good at your job. But I've never seen a hire where two fan bases had the same exact reaction to A, the guy leaving, and B, the guy arriving. Both fan bases are miserable. Arkansas is miserable because Dowell Loggins is one of them. They wanted to get rid of Kendall Briles to keep him. And South Carolina fans are miserable because Shane Beamer has taken an unnecessary risk on a guy that does not have the best track record, albeit with crummy personnel. I mean, let's face it. If you go through the list of the guys that have played quarterback for this guy and the franchises, all right, it's not like college where you get to recruit and there's a transfer portal. A general manager and an owner and a team of scouts, they decide who is going to play. They just don't decide the positions. They tell you this guy is your quarterback, whether he's ready or not. Mitch Trubisky is a rookie. He's your quarterback. Make him successful. Okay, because we drafted this guy. We got to give the fans hope. That's not on Dowell, okay? That's on the Bears. Just like the Jets for playing Sam Darnold as a rookie and for Adam Gase and his offense sucking badly. Okay, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf on refraining from profanity for all parties involved. This is the bottom line, okay? There were multiple guys with successful track records that have proven they can do it. And this is a guy that has never called plays in college. Sorry about that. This is a guy that has never called plays in college. This is a guy that, other than being 2 years as the tight ends coach at Arkansas, he's not been on the field coaching college players. I do think he probably has a much better shot of being successful running in a pro-style offense at South Carolina than Marcus Satterfield because of his time in the NFL. But here's the thing. For recruiting, South Carolina has struggled to attract quality guys that love the potential position coaches, love South Carolina, love Shane Beamer, love everything about it, were not coming because they did not want to play in Marcus Satterfield's offense. You fired him. You liberated yourself of that. But now, what are you going to point to with this guy? I mean, is it going to be more 2019 LSU film, Baylor film, Arkansas film, New York Jets film? Are we going all the way back to 2013 with the Titans? I mean, what is it that you're going to point to? Because every coach that recruits against you is immediately going to send out that screenshot of Dowell Logan's worst rated NFL play caller. It's going to happen. And so to me, all you've done with this is you've kicked the can down the road until this guy shows what his offense can do, good, bad, or indifferent. And you're not helping Justin Stepp land blue chip receivers by hiring a guy that hadn't done it and does not have a successful track record. I'm not saying it's not going to work out. All I'm saying is you're taking another risk, and this time you didn't need to. You didn't have to. To me, this time it feels like it's more about Shane Beamer than it is about South Carolina football. Because if this guy's successful, everybody's going to be talking about Shane Beamer. They're not going to be talking about Lincoln Riley or Kendall Briles or Graham Harrell or Seth Luttrell or whoever else, Dan Mullen or Brian Johnson or whoever, some of those guys with higher profiles than your head coach. And I just didn't think you need to do that this time. He had the opportunity to light a fire underneath this fan base. And instead, it's like rain is in the forecast.
Well, yeah, I agree with everything there. I think it was an unnecessary risk. I think that's the best way I can put it right there. Gosh, that was quite a monologue there, Keith. That was good. I'm looking at the time. So one more thing real quick, because we got to wrap up here. You know, the Lenora Sellers situation. I want to make sure I clarify with everybody that, you know, despite whatever article was out there that people linked to, I think they just read the headline. My understanding is Lenora Sellers is still very much in play at the quarterback position. I think the idea is to get Logan's in and get him to meet with him and stuff like that and try to flip him. Obviously, he was not interested in playing in Satterfield's offense and making 7 different checks a play. So I think that when they go in on him, it's going to be interesting to hear the feedback from that. And because I think that pitch has to be a pitch that says this is what's different about this offense than the one you just saw.
Well, I mean, I don't know when that meeting's going to happen because Lenore Sellers is at the Shrine Bowl this week, right? The game is not over until Saturday. I mean, honestly, it's probably going to have to be a Zoom meeting. I mean, which college coaches are, you know, all coached up on, and that's part of everyday life, you know, because of recruiting during the pandemic. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how that meeting goes, JC. I mean, look, everybody wants to play at the next level. Okay. Dowell Logans knows what that looks like. He's been there. He's coached guys at the next level. He's run NFL offenses. He's coached quarterbacks. I mean, to me, that's the selling point. You want to play in the NFL? I spent 17 years in the National Football League, either coaching quarterbacks or calling plays in the National Football League. And so, you know, obviously he's been at Arkansas the last 2 years. He's seen that. And I'm certain that Shane Beamer, despite a lot of us just not understanding this, after watching 2 years of Marcus Satterfield and finally, after 23 games, figuring it out that, hey, I got to tell this guy he's got to cut it down to 30 plays and 4 personnel groupings. Hopefully and obviously, Shane Beamer knows what he does not want in his next offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it can't be like that.
No.
You know,
so to me, you just have to hope. And again, that's all we got as Gamecock fans is hope that it works out, because there's no evidence that
none. Yeah.
You know, look, when a guy has a documented track record and you bring him in and he's been successful and it doesn't work out, you can say, well, look at this guy's track record when he came in. I mean, this was clearly the guy that gave us the best chance. It didn't work out. But when you go back to back on guys that you don't know whether it's going to work out or not, I mean,
unnecessary.
I'm pulling for him. I'm pulling for him. I want it to work out. I'm hopeful that it'll work out, but there's just no evidence whatsoever that it is going to work out. And that was an unnecessary risk by a head coach who's still learning on the job.
Yeah, and then the fan base has been through it since Kurt Roper. Kurt Roper, oh, trust us, he's good, and he, Muschamp. He'd still be at Florida if Roper was his guy. That didn't work out. BMAC, oh, well, they're going to all get together and do this great offense, and it worked out for a while, and then fizzled away, right? Mike Bobo comes in and has no personnel and leaves after a year. Then you had Satterfield, and then now you got this. It's another, the program on these risky offensive coordinator hires is like 0 for 4. 0 for 5 recently, so it's not necessarily just Beamer, it's the program in general. I think people are sick of it, so I totally get it. Keith, we got to get out of here, man. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I was going to say I wasn't going to bring up the M word, which is Muschamp.
Yeah.
Because that causes a lot of angst and consternation. But let's not forget, okay, in year 2, Will Muschamp was 8-4 and then beat Michigan in the Outback Bowl. And he had an opportunity to do the same thing that Shane Beamer had. Will Muschamp had flipped the national narrative about him. Even guys like Bianchi and all these other guys that had ripped him when he was at Florida were all talking about Will Muschamp is in the right place. He's the right guy at the right place. He is the guy we thought he could be. And he had the opportunity to break the cycle of hiring questionable offensive coordinators, and he didn't do it. Instead of hiring Eli Drinkwitz, instead of giving it to Bobby Bentley, he gave it to Brian McClendon, which made absolutely no sense. And JC, you and I were doing the podcast back then, and we had that rapid reaction show, and I still remember it. After those press conferences, and I was like, man, that's a ballsy move by Muschamp. I just don't think I could have done that if I was him. He needed to hire the sure thing. And I feel the same way today. But at least Dow Logans has called plays and run offense. It's just been in the National Football League, not the SEC.
And not very good. By
the
way, I think if an opposing coaching staff does send that ranking and that screenshot, they better white out or black out number 31, because that was Kyle Shanahan on that list. And so I think they need to get crafty if they're going to do that. Just circle that, blur everybody else's out, because all Beamer and company have to do is say, well, look at who's 31. It's the NFL. It was 1 year, but that's tough. You're right, Keith, and all these things are combined. That list, whether it's valid or not, it's just one more thing. And there's a lot of things about this that go, and make you go kind of, and back to back like that, doubling down. That is risky. I appreciate the kahunas. If that's what it is he just believes. If that's why he made this hire. Respect. I can respect the kahunas, but you're right. It's another blind faith. We have to think about it and use our imaginations. Man, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm tired of doing that all the time. Anyway, Keith, we got to get out of here, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Hopefully, reviewing a huge recruiting weekend that should have some good news for the Gamecocks.
All right. So looking forward to you joining us on the town hall Wednesday night, JC.
Yes, that's right. I will be on the town on Wednesday night. So you guys go over Patreon.
Just wanted to get you on the record this time.
Got to get me on the record right before Christmas.
Kick the can down the road.
Yeah,
so.
I keep having stuff going on. But yeah, I'll be on the town hall Wednesday night. So if you guys are
Be there or be square.
Be there, be square.
Burn?
What a mean burn. All right, Keith, appreciate it. Did we just have an Ernest reference there?
Dropped some Ernest P. Worrell on us today. That's awesome. You never know where we're going to go.
Ernest goes to camp and Ernest goes to jail. Anyway,
we watch Ernest Goes to Camp at least quarterly in my home.
Mad props. All right, first break, second hour. Got to get out of the way right here inside the Gamecocks show.
Just as your State Farm agent.
Hey, man, are you sick and tired of your business computer guy?
Yes, he takes forever to call me back and doesn't always respond to the requests.
Yeah, same here. I'm paying him good money. I constantly have issues, and I'm worried he's not backing up my network and securing it properly.
Oh, I feel that, man. My head hurts, but I have a good lead on a good idea. I'm calling your boy Matthew Odom today from Heritage Digital. Heritage Digital is an IT firm that specializes in making sure your IT network runs like a dream. If you have 1 or 500 employees, it doesn't matter. They do it all for one monthly fee and have clients from South Carolina all the way to California.
Yeah, I heard that monthly fee's low too, so I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Do you have 843-699-1001 as Matt's contact number?
Yeah, man, I sure do that. Or you can go to heritagedigital.com.
Man, I hear they do a no-cost assessment. Boy, this will help me.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm getting on that and encouraging everyone else to do the same. Heritage Digital, 843-699-1001 or heritagedigital.com, a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
You can't handle the truth. Gamecock Nation, do you need a place to stay for the big game? Many hotel booking engines keep all the commissions, but at Fan Plans, you support Inside the Gamecocks, still earn your hotel loyalty points, and you receive an email with direct confirmation from the hotel. Whether you are visiting Columbia to cheer on Carolina or hitting the road to follow the team, get in the stands with Fan Plans.
Yep, time to get back to the show. Shoot. All right, my man.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. Presented to you by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John Barber a call at 803-446-4662 to talk about your latest sunroom addition or backyard retreat. Also, the second hour of the show is brought to you by the Burgesson team at Remax at the Lake. Give Adam or Derek a call. Shoot Adam an email at abergeson, that's ABERGESON, at remax.net for your commercial or investment real estate needs.
Thank you, Phil. Sorry for getting back there. I got the Navy hat here.
No worries. Oh, yeah.
That's kind of, I like it. I don't wear, my head's too big to wear a hat, so I have to kind of, I'll put it back over here next to the McKellar Enterprises hat back there, a little set piece there. Yeah, thanks.
What is it? Niamatalolo is losing his job over the outcome of that game.
Yeah, he got fired.
Got canned.
He's been kind of on thin ice for a little bit. But, you know, heck, they'll just go hire another triple option guy.
I was going to say, I mean, yeah, you just go, go down to the local high school and pick you out another one.
Yeah, I could run option. Come up here. These cats up here love it. You know, it's crazy. High school coaches in Illinois, like, they should be running things like wing tee, triple option, wishbone, because it's cold and you got big linemen. These guys love the spread offense for some reason. And it's kind of because sometimes there's not the athletes that we have down south. And so it's just bad. It's just, I'm like, why are you in 5 wide? You quarterback slower than Al Poop, and and I'm not a coach, so I don't. Maybe there's a method to the madness, but man, oh man, there's some bad high school coaching going on. Can I that right now? Nano Sports chat box. Not an update on Mike Leach from social media, but Bruce Feldman's been tweeting about. Some of the guys he's worked with and things like that. And, I don't know. It's just not looking good, folks. Lance goes, I just want a guy that called plays last year. Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah.
Simple life.
we thought we were going to get too. And Keith is right. Like Beamer has pushed all the chips in, right? He is expending all the capital he has built up over the past 2 years.
He's going all in.
I mean, he really is. I mean, and like you said, I can appreciate the guts, but man, it's just
the cojones.
We're all going to be waiting with bated breath.
Yeah, it's just like, man. I mean, and this is like instead of talking, and like, maybe it's good because a lot of times, if South Carolina had gone and this is a spin job, but it's not. It's kind of, I'm not trying to spin. I'm taking a different look at it, guys. So don't think I'm spinning. But sometimes it's not good if you're in the SEC and you're not one of the, well, even if you are like one of the established programs outside of Georgia and Bama these days, it's not good to have a lot of hype because you get disappointed pretty quickly in this league because things happen with injuries and like in Arkansas right now. Nobody's happy it's 6-6, but they had some injuries they had to deal with. They had to get. I mean, we were talking about being a top 5 program at the beginning of the year. They need to, tell whoever made the schedule to jump in late. But Arkansas A&M, there's an example of things going south when you're hyped. And so if Carolina had made a home run higher, I think, and Rattler comes back away all off season, it's going to be Carolina, as our friend Chris Phillips says, Beamer ball to the moon. Carolina Beamer ball to the moon. High, and sometimes that can affect your program in a different way. So maybe this is maybe Dowell Loggins is the and I don't know how to say it. Maybe Keith's right with his pronunciation, but we'll find out soon. It'll be a shame if his name's not Loggins and it's Logan's, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's important, man. Don't take that away from me.
No, right. Yeah, that's right.
You're taking everything else
away.
If we don't have Loggins, it's not fun anymore. And then it's like gets really bad. So anyway, even if I'll probably just continue to call him Loggins. Probably not. Anyway, so maybe this kind of damper, puts a tamper on expectations a little bit for next year, and the Gamecocks come out hungry, and because I'm convinced they could have a really good season. Just looking at their schedule, I mean, you got 4 tough places to play on the road, but really that's it. And A&M and Tennessee and Georgia and Missouri. I'm going to say they're tough because the Gamecocks hadn't beaten them, but good home schedule. North Carolina is manageable. The other non-conference games are pretty good, and then Clemson, of course, comes to Columbia. So I think Mississippi State is the cross division opponent. They come to Columbia next year. I don't know. I know Mike Leach aside, I think that they're losing a lot of players off their offense. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But maybe this is good that there's not hype. I mean, because like I said, all the people that picked Kentucky to go 11-1 this year and Arkansas to go to the Sugar Bowl, and sometimes that happens. Krager makes a point. Is it as simple as the other guys didn't want to come here with our terrible history? No, I don't even know that there were any other guys, but I can confirm without a shadow of a doubt there's some guys that wanted this job that you guys would have jumped for joy had they taken it. So that's it's not that simple. Lance, I mentioned Lance Maine says, I think we're putting too much emphasis on folks turning us down instead of Beamer just getting who he wanted. Maine, I can't even say that anybody turned it down. Maybe one person, maybe Brian. I mean, I don't know that anybody, I can't confirm anybody turned it down. I'd be surprised if it were more than one. Because I think we had our list, right? As fans and media and all that. But Beamer had his own list. And Dowell was toward the top the whole time. I know maybe that's hard to believe, but that's the truth. As Shane says, is Colorado going to be a factor for the South Carolina commits? They just recently offered. I don't know. I saw they offered Vicari Swain. I don't know. I can't imagine Vicari. I mean, but I'll tell you this: Deion Sanders is going to be a pull, and Colorado will get some players. Okay. I don't know. Definitely that'll impact South Carolina. But
was it Isaiah Jota? I think as well.
Did he get now? See,
think
there's a
he got
kid.
an offer. Mm-hmm.
I will caution you on him. Because he's at a junior college in Utah, and he's from San Diego, California. So Colorado, he visited Auburn this past weekend, but Colorado is infinitely closer to home, than Columbia. And there's the primetime factor. And Boulder's a beautiful campus, man. I mean, it's really cool. But it's also probably, how cold is it in Boulder right now? Probably, I don't know.
Right.
So I don't know. Colorado is going to be a factor with a lot of guys with Neon Dion, and all that. They got a good staff and all that good stuff. Zach says Beamer got who he wanted. That's true. RB says, JC, how do you differentiate between SAT and DL? There's no evidence it's different at all aside from blind faith. Well, no, I know what SAT's problems were. And it was not the system that they were running. The system, as you all saw the last 2 games of the season, the actual system worked. It was how it was set up, called, the personnel usage, the slow substitutions, there's disorganization. It was just too cumbersome. And so I don't think SAT, and I was told last night, SAT's system was not the issue. There were, and I always said that too. The good play designs, aside from, I don't like the bunch formations too much, but that's a personal preference. So, people were talking about the reason I thought it may be a good idea for him to coach the bowl game is they've scaled it back so much that it's probably not hard for any play caller to step in and do it. And you're going to have an interim guy anyway, with what you already got. But no, there's going to be a lot of differences, in terms of the what I call the guts of the offense. In other words, it may be the same plays that you saw, some of the same formations you saw SAT use, some of the same concepts you saw SAT use. It may on the surface look, like that offense. Let's hope the production is good, right? Mm-hmm. But as far as how to, the problem with SAT's offense in general was, you couldn't teach all that very well because it was too much. You couldn't teach it. You couldn't game plan well. He didn't game plan well at all. There was some panic in games where, you just kind of throw it all, and rather than just going out there with a play sheet and calling the ball plays like good coordinators do, there was just a lot of overthought. And I don't know whether that was hubris, trying to prove a point, to try to, do something here to get back to the NFL. Hey, look at what all I did here with all these all this stuff. Maybe that was it. A little bit of selfishness. Maybe he just kind of overestimated, what exactly college players can learn. But all that stuff that RB that were fundamentally the problem for 2 years, right? Those aren't things that most normal offensive coordinators in college do. And it has nothing really to do with SAT being in the NFL for 1 year, as an assistant offensive line coach. That more so than him and his desire to come back and overcomplicate things. And hopefully with Dowell Luggins, having actually coached in the NFL, been there and actually done it, lived it, he realizes there's not enough time to put in all this stuff. And, I'm just going to call it and haul it and rock and roll and go fast paced and get it up and down the field, and, all that good stuff. So I do think, when you just look pro style offense, NFL guy, of course, there's no differentiation, but there's more than blind faith when you're talking about the actual issues, behind the scenes with what SAT was trying to do. And there's no way Shane would, I'd be stunned if I hear any of the same things. And I'm just talking from a football perspective, not, culture and is he a good guy and all that. That's not really relevant, I think, because we're talking about winning football games here and all that good stuff. Charles says Loggins is a failure as OC. Shane has to be dismissed. Johnny says one thing with South Carolina, Satterfield running pro style offense. If you change, that's going to take time. with this guy, he picks up where we left off. Yeah, I expect short term it's going to be a lot like what we saw the last 2 games. And then next season, depending on who the quarterback is, a lot more quarterback run games. See, so the things I've been hearing are not necessarily NFL type things. Zone read is not. I mean, some NFL teams do it, that kind of thing. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Harrison says, can you discuss the state of the tight end room now moving forward? Went from a loaded room to paper thin very quick. Yeah. I mean, there's nobody. It's like, hey, does anybody want to play tight end at South Carolina?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Line up. Tight end. Hello. Yeah. All right. So they're going to have to kind of redo it because Nate Atkins is the only one left, and he's gone after the Gator Bowl. I think maybe there's some walk-ons. So what you do, I think you got 2 coming in right now from the high school ranks, Connor Cox and the kid from Anna Sandlin from Alabama.
Sandlin, yeah.
You got him coming in. I think Carolina has a good shot at flipping Reed Masaka or Mikasa. I don't know. He's committed to Miami. He was once a Clemson commit. He's from Texas. Probably a guy that can contribute his first year. And then I think they'll hit the portal for 1 or 2. And you can look for those names between now and January 1st. Because I think that the guys that ultimately get on probably aren't in the portal yet. So and so they'll rebuild it pretty quick, but it was kind of a surprise. Krager says, is the plan to bulk up Short and have him play tight end? Yeah, I think that could be something too. I don't know about the bowl game or all that. RB says, what I'm getting at is how do we know DL is actually any better? His only record as an OC was not only positive, but downright bad. Yeah, well, that was in the NFL. Keep that in mind. And I don't know that the results are going to be better. Nobody can guarantee results, right?
We just don't know, yeah.
I just know that if this gets screwed up, if Dowell Loggins is a failure, it's probably more along the lines of he just doesn't have it as a play caller or something like that, rather than the because we all found out the last two games that Satterfield's not a bad. I mean, there were some questionable play calls in the Clemson game, obviously, but he's not that bad. He's actually a little bit above average if you think about it. The actual play calling, not the game planning and all that, which is what was getting screwed up. So, I think if Loggins fails, it'll be because of the play calling, in-game stuff, decision-making, bad calls, that kind of thing. But not because he wants to run 20 different personnel groupings and confuse everybody and can't teach it. It's disorganized. How about that? There you go. So that's why that's why he's going to be better than Sat in terms of the guts of the program. All right. And 76 says he feels like Keith hit the nail on the head, unnecessary risk. Yeah, totally in agreement with Keith on that. That's kind of how I see it. Ryan W., why is the big insiders, football scoop of Murphy, not reporting the Loggins hire? Well, me and Tony reported it. I mean, maybe we kind of put it on the message board, though. Didn't really stick it out there. And all that. Yeah, Stingray said Harbor could play tight end. That's true, too. And Keith chimes back in. Thanks, Keith. Short was moved to receiver and asked to lean up. So there you go. And Short's could be a pretty good, route runner, hands, good stuff like that. Krager says Harbor had a great Maryland visit. I know. I can't see him going there.
Yeah. But
maybe. Dallas says, I'll say this, if you can't run the ball, they can hire Mike McDaniel and we're going to struggle. Yeah. Yeah. And that's true. You're going to have to still be able to run it. But I'll say this, Dallas, there are times like against Clemson, you're going to have to chunk it too.
Where the run's just not going to be there for you. Yeah.
It's not going to be there. So that's the deal there. And then finally from Quantrell, Keith's comment about this hire potentially being more about Shane than the program overall definitely got my attention. Hopefully that's not the case, but coaches do have egos. Well then, yeah, as far as Keith's comment there goes, I mean, it's plausible. We'll see kind of what happens. I actually think that I actually just think this is the guy Beamer wants, and he doesn't really care what anybody else thinks. So it is a huge gamble and an unnecessary risk, like he said. That's the deal there. Okay, folks, we're gonna take a break. Final break of the show here on a Manic Monday. Nah, I'm not going to go there. Not the Manic Monday. Just another Manic. Anyway. All right. We'll be back. Final break.
If you're looking to sell or buy multifamily property right here in South Carolina, the Burgesson team of RE/MAX at the Lake can help you get to closing fast and easy. Adam and Derek Burgesson both are very proud Gamecocks and are more than happy to assist you with any of your commercial real estate needs all across the state. You can email Adam at aburgesson@remax.net. That's ABERGESON at remax.net to get your next deal underway. The Burgesson team, proud sponsors of Inside the Gamecocks.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
What's up, Gamecock fans? This is Pitcher Noah Hall. If you want some delicious food for your event, I suggest visiting nanasporch.com today to find out what they all have to offer. It's really good Southern cuisine based out of Charlotte, my hometown. I hope you guys go check it out. Go Cox and go Nanas.
I've been expecting you, Mr. Powers.
Sometime in the near future, there's a good chance I'll move back to my home area of the upstate of South Carolina. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nobody I would use to help me find a new home except Cindy Bass-Searfoss of Caldwell Banker Kane, located in my hometown of Spartanburg, Daniel Morgan Avenue, married to a diehard Gamecock. 864-414-5271. Give Cindy a call. 864-414-5271. A proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Family vacations, a new car, a new boat, all cost money, but you don't necessarily have to make more to afford any of that if you can save cash that's flying out the window now. iHelp Consulting can help you finally get the kids to Disney World, upgrade the minivan, or drop that new boat in the water next summer. Let Daniel and iHelp Consulting consult with you. No fees, just savings. You pay them a percentage of those savings. Save on essential services, credit card fees, you name it, let them find it. These folks are incredible. iHelpConsulting.com. How can I help you?
Hey, Mo Cowboy here from the Carolina Gamecocks. You're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. JC Sherbert, Phil Mullinax here with you. The show is sponsored by Express Sunrooms in Columbia. Give John Barber a call, 803-446-4662, to talk about your next edition. The second hour of the show brought to you by the Burgesson team at RE/MAX at the Lake. Give Adam or Derek a call or shoot Adam an email at aburgesson, that's ABERGESON, at remax.net. And JC, I'm just like consumed with this whole... It's really not looking good for Mike Leach. I hate that. This is just awful news, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to get emotional about it.
Yeah, I'm starting to get up in my feels about it too.
It's really
like,
hard.
Oh, goodness, this is awful. Yeah, but prayers for his family. Hate that Hale State family.
Yeah, for them, it's tough. I mean, this is South Carolina's a program that went through a coach dying. In 1989 with Joe Morrison. So, I mean, it's tough. I Help Consulting Mailbag Dre says, hey, guys, love the show. Been an avid listener of the show via podcast. Working third shift, hauling trailers for BMW. Doesn't allow me to listen live. It's a heck of a job, though, man. Anyway, with Jaheim heading to Tallahassee, he's the third in as many years to transfer from us to them. Is it a coincidence, or should we start treating FSU like a legit recruiting rival? I know a little bit about Florida State's recruiting and the inner workings of it. They're not like tampering with Carolina guys. They hit the portal pretty hard when they're trying to get back. So, Kier Thomas went down there, and Kier was a commit to Florida State for like most of the time, and then it flipped at the end. To the Gamecocks. I think Florida State didn't want him or something at the end. So he'd always wanted to go there. Jamie Robinson's from South Georgia, and that Tallahassee's right there. And then, Jaheim, I kind of thought it'd be Florida, not Florida State, but his family's from right there in that, Lake City, Florida area. So there are reasons for all those guys to go. I do think that Florida State's in the South, in the Southeast, and you do have to recruit against them. But I wouldn't read too much into the amount of Gamecock transfers that go there at this point. Now you start seeing starters and a bunch of starters walking out the door. Actually, those 3 guys were starters, but you start like at the same time and go to Florida. Yeah, then you got to get worried. You got to get worried. All right, Nana Sports chat box as we roll on. All right, somebody Score 2 Media asked about Will Wilson from Richland Northeast, Arkansas, and NC State have offered. Yeah, dual threat guy, quarterback, 2025, good player. There's a lot of young quarterbacks around the state that the Gamecocks kind of have an eye on. South Carolina's been recruiting him, just haven't offered yet. Hughes says, why do players always do the cryptic thing on Twitter? Just come out and say it. Kids these days, man. Kids these days. Ryan said, are you expecting there to be a reset year in the next few years where the final record ends up being a big jump backward? And if so, what is acceptable and how far are we from it? Ryan, before the transfer portal, you kind of look at coaches, and sometimes years 3 through 5 are a little iffy, because you usually inherit from the other guy, a pretty good base of recruits and players. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And then, some of those players leave and you can't replace them right away. So you're young. Maybe you have an injury-filled year or something like that. Now, heading into this year, it's not a linear rebuild. This year, personnel-wise, the stars kind of aligned and had a chance to have a big year. Still think it's a big year. People care a lot more about when they're evaluating the perception of this program about the wins over Tennessee and Clemson than losing to Missouri and Arkansas, and Florida. It's just how it is. I mean, and it's also recency bias because those 2 games happened at the end, and you beat Notre Dame. That everybody's like, wow, they were on fire or whatever. And so that's the deal there. So not all some people like to talk about on the message board about how Will Muschamp went 9-4 and blah 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 blah, and that's not the point Keith was making, by the way. So I'm not disagreeing with Keith, but not all 8-4 records are created equal. I mean, Muschamp, they beat a Tennessee team that didn't win a conference game, a Florida team with an interim head coach, an Arkansas team I think that fired my boy Brett after the season. They lost to A&M. They fired their coach. They did have 2 good wins at the beginning over NC State and then at Missouri, but lost to Kentucky at home. This group this year, I mean, those 2 wins at the end, I mean, those are 2 of the best wins in the history of the program.
Yeah. Because everybody was projecting you. I was just saying, everybody was projecting you in the East to be, mid-tier to lower. Yeah. And so it was like when the Missouri and Florida happened, they're like, we could kind of see that coming. But then you beat Tennessee and Clemson, and it's like, whoa, okay, that we didn't know they had it in them.
Gamecocks finished 3rd in the East with a 4-4 record. So that's the deal there. 76. Truth be told, no one knows what we're getting in Loggins. Could be good, could be terrible. Who knows? We just didn't need more uncertainty. Yeah, I agree with you there. Spot on. 76. By the way, 76, put something in the mail to you on Saturday. So look for that. Jim says Warrant and Bengals on a roll today, JC. You don't want me to sing Eternal Flame? Close your eyes. No, just kidding. Stacy says Turnitin also went to FSU. Yeah, I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I'm just not I can't. I'm just not like I don't know. Oh, Quantrell says any word on Tony Grimes? I know Carolina was in on him. Yeah, they're not gonna really pursue him. From what I was told last night, he's I think Tony Grimes wants to be guaranteed he's going to start, and I don't think Carolina's in a position to do that. Torrey Gray and Clayton White love the young DBs that they have, even the guys that didn't play this year. So. And you don't want to get into a precedent where you're promising some transfer he can start, especially with Grimes has not been like the 5-star guy, I think, that we expected. So I think that's the deal there. Quantrell says, I think Carolina's taken as a badge of honor. FSU continues to rate transfers from the Gamecocks. It means Carolina's evaluating and developing well. I think so, too.
Yeah.
Chuck says Shane wasn't left with much in the cupboard.
Well, he had more than Muschamp.
He inherited more than Will. I mean, but there were some positions, obviously, that were, I mean, safety and receiver were kind of down. Yeah. But, look at all the guys that have made big plays for this team this year on both sides of the ball. And then both lines of scrimmage are all Muschamp guys, So think about it, anyway. Krager says, waiting on his 1801 club thing. I'll get that. Serious flight. By the way, with I got the magnets in. If you guys join Carolina Rise 1801 Club, got the magnets in. Going to be sending them here. You'll have them before the bowl. Okay. Yeah. There's quite a few. I'm going to be in the post office quite a bit, Phil. Great time of the year. Make Craig's a rally package. Yeah. We got to get the rally package going. Sirius says his login pretty much a lock for OC. The word lock is loaded because if I say lock and then something happens, but I think that's where it's going, and I expect an announcement no later than tomorrow. Tiffany says, here's the deal. Year 3 will be a dip. It is every year with a new coach. They come in and have a big year 1 and 2, and then the veterans leave and things dip. See, Tiffany, I don't know if it's going to dip next year. I can't.
I don't think it has to. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I don't think it has to either. I'm like, add some parts of the portal. I mean, even so Carolina's losing a lot of offensive linemen that have played a lot of ball. But then you go back and you look and see who's coming back, and a lot of those guys are still there. Like, they're old. Like, they've been there for,
these guys are lawyers at this point.
I was thinking about this the other day. Sherrod Green was on the Outback Bowl team, that Outback Bowl team in 2017. He was a freshman that year. Mm-hmm. He's still playing. But yeah, I think Jalen Nichols, Vershawn Lee, those guys are all back. So that's it there. Chase says latest on Mazio Bennett, Lenore Sellers. Mazio's not in a hurry. I mean, keep in mind, Mazio's a 2024. So there's no deadline for him to get in and no signing day coming up for him. But I think it's looking good for the Gamecocks, obviously. Now, people ask, did the OC cause whatever? Well, Satterfield leaving, obviously, that had a lot to do with Mazio Bennett decommitting from Tennessee. How about that? And so that's the deal there. She's like, if he wants to take a chance on a no name, it's on him. If the offense doesn't work, it's his seat. And we'll be hiring a new coach for the 25 season. Don't wish that evil on Shane because
don't put that out in the universe.
2025, the Gamecocks open against Virginia Tech in Atlanta. That was kind of the idea, is the Beamer Bowl, Mm-hmm. It wouldn't feel right to me if somebody else was coaching the Gamecocks in that game. So
no.
So all that good stuff there. Van, Brooks, Lloyd, Kenyon, Juju, Bell, all are Muschamp guys. Yeah, and so is Dylan Wanham, Eric Douglas, Jovan Gwynn, Tyshawn Wanamaker, Ja'Kai Moore, Jalen Nichols. On defense, Birch, Pickens, Boogie, Tonka, Sherrod Green. You go on and on. In the secondary, Marcellus Dial was a Muschamp commit. Darius Rush was Muschamp. Cam Smith was Muschamp. Yeah, Will Muschamp left some players here. I mean, I don't think it's not a slight on Beamer that he did, but he did. Some positions he didn't, right? So that's the deal there. Tiffany's confused. RB says we're losing quite a bit on offense. Odds are pretty high of taking a step back. I don't know. We'll see. You got to wait. You got to see who all's coming back. Cynical says thanks for the show.
Portal too, so you never know.
The portal, yeah. Score Media says, who do you think plays center next year? I'm going to guess and say either Trey Jones or someone from the transfer portal. How about that? All right. So, yeah, Caden says Sherrod Green may have been a Spurrier guy. Eric Douglas. I remember the day Eric Douglas was offered at camp at Carolina, and Sean Elliott was coaching the O-line, and Spurrier was the head coach.
Golly.
It was 2015, the summer of 2015. And I was very happy for Eric Douglas calling that play at the end.
Oh, my goodness.
Because he suggested play, and he was happy about that win, too. And he's put in a lot of work, probably not always been, great days at the office for Eric. So it was good to see him do that anyway. And maybe said Beamer had to recruit those guys to stay. That's a credit to him. I agree.
Yeah, every year.
I'm not, like I said, two things can be true. Muschamp recruited well, and Beamer recruited them to stay. And I've always given Shane a lot of credit for that. Maybe said which O-line was offered by Spurrier. That was Eric Douglas. The old man. He's a grandfather now,
Back in his day.
I know. All right, great show, Phil.
Yeah, man.
Outstanding. Hopefully, hopefully a miracle happens with Mike Leach. Continue to pray. And as always, you can listen to this on podcast format if you want to go back to it, both on YouTube and on Spotify and Apple Pods. For Phil Mullinax, JC Sherbert, this has been Inside the Gamecocks. The show survive and advance your Monday, folks, because Tuesday's right around the corner with the Mental Edge with Sawyer Nix and a cast of characters for the rest of the week right here on the show. See you.